What are some fanfiction green flags for you? I've been seeing so many threads asking people what makes them click off of a fic, but I want to know what you love about fics. What makes you stay longer or click in the first place? Anything positive. For me, it has to be a short and punchy first line, then an expansion. Love that stuff. Credit to Anna Meow Books for starting this thread on the fanfiction subreddit. And let's go read some answers. 1,000 words one-shot with a vibey summary in all lowercase will never not be a trick designed to bait me specifically. You could put that under a cardboard box propped up by a stick and I'd crawl right in there. I feel personally attacked by this response. The words, I honestly only wrote this because there's not enough of blank in the summary, and then their account has stories around that piece of fiction or character like 4 or 5 times. They're a big fan. It will show. I love when the character's voice and personality immediately comes through in the narration style. Like when I start reading and right away think, yes, he would fucking say that. Regarding incomplete fics on AO3, I consider a set number of chapters to be a green flag. Like chapters 3 out of 9 instead of 3 out of question mark. It suggests that the author has a grand plan, which I like. When a fic adds or changes elements of canon to make it more believable. My main example of this is when a fic shows a character's scars and or lasting injuries from a fight. When they don't treat the characters outside of the focus ship badly or make them out of character or evil to make the ship angst better. I will read way more of your stuff if you don't resort to that, and comment profusely in gratitude. Chekhov's gun. I read a Danny Phantom x Batman crossover fic where the author connected stuff from the first chapter into later chapters. It really made me want to keep reading. If I read the author's notes on a fluff fic and they say something like, oh, I based this off a moment I had with a friend or something, I know I'm gonna read something I enjoy. Having a plot besides 2 characters getting together, like a murder mystery where characters A and B get together. It's not just internal problems they face, they have other things going on. These stories are usually more original and not just written because they're the popular trend. And fics that pay attention to the setting, time and location accurate settings, like listening to Oasis and Nirvana in the 90s, or eating dango and onigiri in Japan, knowing that American football is a fall sport while baseball is a spring sport. These little details tell me the author cares, and it also enriches the story. I absolutely love when you can tell that the author has either personal experience or researched the hell out of a particular topic. The story feels so much more grounded. And I don't mean they waffled for 3 chapters about the topic, but more the little details that get sprinkled through the story. Rambly author's notes. I may not always read them all the way through, but when an author rambles about their fic, you know they love it. Chapter titles, sometimes funny, sometimes thematic, sometimes song lyrics. I just love a chapter title. Random details from canon. That tells you the writer knows their source material well, and that's not compulsory for a good fic, but it is fun to see. And very subjective, but when their interpretation of a character lines up with yours, unmatched. As an author who writes rambly notes, I appreciate it. When the author mentions having kids or an adult job. Author notes. Some people think that author notes are over-exaggerated sometimes or unnecessary, but even in the worst of fics, if I see an author's note that is funny or how their day went, it makes me feel better and gives me motivation to finish their fic. I'm more likely to click when the fic isn't overusing tags. If an author has restrained themselves to only tagging required warnings, main characters, main relationships, genre, and whatever relevant tropes people would actively search for, that tells me they know how to identify what information is important and what information isn't. That understanding is likely to be reflected in their writing. Conversely, if someone has, for example, tagged every single character who makes even a minor appearance, they're more likely to have a lot of bloat in the fic that would have been better off trimmed, seemingly only there to inflate the word count. When the story knows what parts to skip and leave in. A really good grasp on English's more complicated grammar. I love knowing I'm in the hands of someone who is very adept at wielding language as a tool to communicate complex, subtle, and/or nuanced things. And this is one of those you know it when you see it things, but when you can tell the author really gets human nature. Capturing the feel of a character and exploring them deeper than the original material did, a great fanfic has characterization that deserves to be canon. When a story explores ideas that expand the universe that they're in into different avenues, like when a main character has hidden lore that expands its character growth, I feel it's more engaging to read then. New ideas. Being into fanfiction for almost 2 decades means I've read nearly every trope and nearly every setup for a story, so when something surprises me, I get so excited. A summary that makes me go, "Oh, that's a genius concept, why has no one else thought of that?" I love interesting AUs or unique spins on a scene or piece of lore. It's not a guarantee of quality or if I'll finish it, but it definitely gets me to start the fic. The foreign language phrase translation is in the chapter where you can read it in context instead of at the end of the chapter in a list. On AO3, there's an ability to create a temporary shadow box with text when hovering over a word or phrase. I've seen someone use that for their language translation, and now I want to do that for all of my fics going forward. Whenever someone takes a minor character and adds more to their personality and lore based on hints given in canon, some characters are interesting on their own, but we never get to see them often or never get backstory apart from crumbs. So whenever someone is able to take those crumbs and or minor appearances and flesh them out in a way that makes sense, always makes me happy. Work-specific slang, if not overdone. Like, if the media you are writing fanfic of is very British, then your writing should be too. Unfortunately, this can be overdone, but when nailed, it does a lot. If it makes me laugh, even a little laugh. If it makes me feel things. Does it make me belly laugh? I just read a fic like this. Does it make me swoon? Has the author swayed me to like their OTP? Does an injustice make me angry? I look for the same qualities in fic as in published books, but with my favorite characters in new situations. The dialogue feeling just right, feeling so in character that it feels like you're experiencing canon material in writing form. And also extensive internal dialogue, having a great in-depth insight into the inner workings of a character's mind, and if the writer manages to get those both right, gosh, I could lose a week reading fics like that. A summary that sets up a conflict that can be resolved, with hints at how. This is a green flag because 1, it shows the author has some sort of plan, 2, the author understands story structure, and 3, the author is more likely to finish. A real inner life for whichever character's point of view I'm experiencing. I have so little interest in plot, which is why I find most fanfic to be a total slog. I don't mind if there are exciting things happening, but I want to feel them through the characters' emotions and thoughts, not just read about them like it's driving directions. Conversely, the entire fic could take place in a stationary setting, and if the characters have interesting thoughts and feelings, I am there for it. Yes, this is how I feel about pretty much all media, to be honest. I've joked with friends about how my favorite episodes of shows tend to be the bottle episodes. If you can make it interesting without all the flashy distractions, I'm all in. I'd rather have an empty stage, either literally or metaphorically, with scenes so compelling I can't look away, than all the plot twists or special effects in the world. Experimental formatting. One that makes me click in the first place is a good summary. More than just one line, not just a random quote from somewhere in the fic, not just a song lyric. If your summary actually tells me what general plot I should be expecting, I will be 100 times more likely to click on it. And a very specific one, in soulmate fics, where it's acknowledged that not all soulmate bonds have to be romantic in nature. Since I'm aromantic, that little detail always makes me very happy, instead of the author assuming that everyone on Earth would want or be happy with a romantic soulmate. I usually read the first chapter to test the waters, no matter how bad it seems from the first line, but I absolutely love when, if it's a romantic pairing, we first get introduced to their relationships with other people, the platonic ones. It makes me like the characters even more. When there are more queer characters apart from a main male pairing. Holding hands, eating a meal together, fighting over one blanket, happy birthdays, the Christmas fic with mistletoe shenanigans, cooking meals for one another, sick fics, childhood crush to lovers, wearing their significant other's hoodie that's always larger than them, playing footsie under the table when chatting and eating at a restaurant with friends, the beach episode, caught out in the rain and sharing one umbrella, anything festive to be honest, like building a snowman together or dressing up as a sheet ghost with 2 holes cut out for Halloween, etc. I love when a fanfiction is real. I know this sounds weird, but I love fanfictions with niche concepts and ideas, and clear, unabashed emotional elements. I love it when I read a fanfic and I can just feel the passion the writer has for the characters. I can feel their pains and struggles, or their joy and happiness. You get a personal insight into their mind and the characters' minds, and you even feel less alone when you read it. Some people may hate real elements in fanfic because they read fanfic to escape that real stuff, or that they don't like reading a journal, basically. But I disagree. Fanfiction that is real can help you cope and escape from a whole lot of horrible real things. Perhaps by tying up loose ends and bringing justice where there is none in our world, or bringing comfort to pain when there is none in your personal life. Stories like that are so human, and they always touch my soul. This for me too. Reading fic that has a lot of realism makes me feel less alone, that there are others who identify or have struggled with these same things I have, and you can feel that when you read it. I feel that a lot of that realism gets washed out of a lot of published books, but I personally love that raw, unfiltered emotion you find in fanfiction, and it's why I actually tend to read more fanfiction than published works these days. Well, that and the fact that they have tags. Ooh, to piggyback off of this, I love when fics will have characters who like or do very specific things. Like, so specific that it makes you think, oh, the author has to know someone like this in real life. It's a different kind of realism, I guess, but seeing characters who have established friend traditions, maybe even just little things, really makes the characters pop to me, if that makes sense. Basically, my one and only green light litmus test is the fanfic effectively replicates the tone and established identity of the original work. Everything beyond that, go nuts. Time or setting shift, AU, a completely recast character roster full of OCs, just about everything else is on the table for me, but only because that one criteria forecloses on so many things that I don't have to list. But it also leaves room for me to be surprised. At the end of the day, though, if you can't capture that same pathological gesture and massage it into something novel or additive, you might as well just write a different story at that point. The vanishingly small handful of writers that can pull off a full vibe shift have already demonstrably mastered the above. They're simply so dialed into the rules of their source material and the rules of fiction writing that they also know how and why to meaningfully break them. Big thank you to my Patreon members, my Little Ruse, Nebulatic Vexen, Donka42, John Huang, Laser Scorpio, Night Avenger, Mintara, Somnophobic Danny, Savage Otters, Falsey, Terabyte AIX, Kestrel, Dragonborn Canid, Angie Ender, Marpsk, and Wendigo. Thank you so much for your extra support on Patreon. It means the world to me, and I'm so glad to have you here. I kind of can't believe there's so many of you, and I'm just really grateful for all of you. And I hope you find the Patreon content enjoyable. And thank you to my YouTube channel members, my Mini Ruse, Foxstar Killer, Rainy Cant, Alyssa North 24, and Siggy. Thank you so much for your extra support. I'm so glad to have you be a part of my YouTube channel. I do want to apologize. I do believe I did not update this list for my last video, so I apologize. The changes are late. Welcome, Siggy. Sorry for that. Hope you guys are doing awesome, because you are awesome. And thank you to everyone else for watching. Let me know, what are your fanfiction green flags? I think one for me is that I really will tend to enjoy a story if it really dials in on a specific aspect of a character or the plot and expands on that. I tend to really enjoy both writing and reading that kind of thing. So usually going into something like that, I know I'm going to really like it. That's a green flag. But we all enjoy different things. We all enjoy different writing styles, so let me know. What's your green flag for fanfiction? I look forward to hearing from you, and I'll see you in the next video. And have fun reading and writing fanfiction. It's such a delight, isn't it?